I liked my work most of the time, but I didn't love it. I searched and I searched, but I just could not find a software engineering job that I loved as much as I loved sailing. So I tried to create one. I put together a plan to start my own company. That way I could completely control my work environment. I would hire the most talented programmers I knew, and we would all work together on the most interesting and challenging software projects. My goal was to create the perfect job for me, a job I truly loved. I never expected the company to grow beyond 50 people. Today, Oracle employs around 150,000 people. But when I started, it was not my intention to build a big company. What happened? Well, at first, we did exactly what we set out to do. Hired the most talented software engineers in Silicon Valley. We assembled an all-star team of gifted programmers who were among the best in the world at what they did. That team, plus one crazy idea, gave birth to a giant company. I call it a crazy idea because at the time, everyone told me it was a crazy idea. The idea was to build the world's first relational database. Several theoretical papers about relational databases had already been published, and IBM was building a prototype in their research labs. But back then, the collective wisdom of computer experts was that while relational databases could be built, they would never be fast enough to be useful. I thought all those so-called computer experts were wrong. And when you start telling people that all the experts are wrong, at first they call you arrogant, and then they say you're crazy. When people start telling you that you're crazy, you just might be onto the most important innovation in your life.
I think the most difficult experience I had was in 1990 when Oracle had its only lost quarter in history. And we've been in business for 20 years. Of those 20 years, we lost money one quarter. And we had a very difficult time because we had doubled our sales virtually every year for 10 years. 9 out of 10 years, 10 out of 11 years. It was really quite an amazing run. We're the fastest growing company in history. Still are fastest growing company in history over a long period of time. And suddenly we'd hit a wall. We reached $1 billion in revenue, and we were having serious management problems all over the place. And the people who were running the company, the $1 billion company, were the same people that had run the company when we were a $50 million company, when 20th the size. And I had an incredible sense of loyalty to those people who'd worked with me to build Oracle. And it was a very painful realization in 1990 that I was going to have to change the management team, that the company had outgrown the management, that people who are good at running a $50 million company those aren't the same skills. They're just different. Not one is better or worse. They're just entirely different skill set in running a $50 million company than a $1 billion company. And both skill sets are rare and precious. But we needed a different group of managers, and virtually the entire management team had to be replaced. And that means I had to ask people who I'd worked with for a decade to leave. I had to fire people. And that was the most difficult thing I had to do in business, asking a bunch of people to leave Oracle. I had no choice. I'd have to either ask them to leave Oracle, or everyone would have to leave Oracle because there wouldn't be any Oracle left. So in that sense, it was a simple choice. It was thousands of people worked at Oracle. They deserved the best leadership we could find. And my primary responsibility was to the company and all of the staff, all of our shareholders and all of our customers. And therefore I had to choose. And if I couldn't make that decision, then I had to go.